Ready to rock? Ready to rock? Hello and welcome everyone watching on Facebook. My name's Amit, I'm from Kerrang, and I'm here today with Greg and Nick from Paradise Lost.
Hello there, how are you?
Good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Yeah, we were only hanging out just a few days ago in sunny Paris at Download. You guys, it was really quite hot during your set. I loved the juxtaposition between these kind of frosty northern songs and the burning heat.
Yeah, I had to put a factor 50 on before stage, and I'm not even sure it helped. I have a bit of a red head now.
Yeah.
It's either blood pressure or the sun, I'm not sure.
I used factor 50 as well, so it must be blood pressure.
Thanks for that.
Amazing. Well, of course, the reason why we're all here today is to talk about the reissue of 1 Second, which will be coming out in July via Music for Nations. So, you know, it was such a breakthrough, and it remains a firm fan favourite, really, around the world for all the people that adore your music. Tell me, what was it like making the album? What was going through your minds when you put these tracks into life?
Well, we toured a lot with Draconian Times and Icon, so 5 years-ish away from home, and we were just kind of tired of doing the same thing over and over again. Even though we loved those records, it was just kind of the same thing again and again, so we just wanted to change, something fresh for ourselves, and we had no plan as to what direction we were going to take. We just took it a song at a time, and then when we went in the studio with the sound, that's when it kind of really took shape into what it became.
Definitely. I think the most amazing thing about it really is that you're coming back off all the success of Draconian Time. You know, it was such a huge, groundbreaking release, that one. But you guys, instead of choosing to redo similar things, you took the hard route and you went the other way. Tell me, at what point did you realise that this album was going to be quite vastly different to its predecessor?
I think just when we started writing, really. I mean, there was a fair bit more kind of keyboard-orientated songs, and I think also the impact it had. I mean, I just sort of nicely cut my hair as well, which now it means nothing really cutting hair, but then it actually did. And then maybe just kind of saying younger people, they can't really grasp that, but then it was a kind of a big deal to cut your hair off. So I think a combination of that and bringing in the keyboards into songs being quite a big part of the sound as well was a bit of a shock for people. But for us, it was always about making the songs as miserable as possible, really. Because the stuff before that was quite upbeat. You know, Draconian Times is a very upbeat metal album, and we just wanted to kind of bring it down and make it a lot more darker. And a lot of people really got it, and some didn't, but a lot did as well. You know, so.
Definitely. One thing that we'd all love to know, of course, is that the album was kind of pieced in Battery in London, and then, of course, at Rockfield in Wales, where, some legendary, timeless rock classics have been made. I'd love to know a bit more about your experiences in those studios, and if there are any albums that were made there before you guys went over that you completely adore.
In Monmouth, our biggest memory of that was playing Tekken, and the lady that was looking after the kitchen, she used to lock the fridge at night so we couldn't get in. So God bless her. You remember that?
So we were starving northerners at that time. And the guy showing us round, the guy who I think still owns it. I think he's still alive. I hope so.
Who's been there? Queen.
Yeah, Queen. I think for Rockfield. Zeppelin.
No, this is it. This is the story I was just going to tell. The guy showing us round. We were walking round, and I didn't know anything about the studio. And he said, "You see that?" And he pointed to a wall, and we said, "Yeah." He said, "That's the Wonder Wall." And I was like, "What are you telling me that for?" I don't know what you're talking about. Turns out that was the wall they wrote the song about.
Crazy.
Rock history. Trivia.
We did. We also mixed at Sank Studio in Toy Town Studios in Stockholm as well. So yeah, it was a few different studios. So which nowadays wouldn't be heard of now. But it was. I don't think we're at Monmouth all that one either. We're at Battery as well. At Battery, because it was in town, we used to end up going out a lot. So there'd be some pretty drunken shenanigans, certainly when people weren't recording. But in Monmouth, it was a bit more chilled out. Obviously, it's in the countryside, so yeah, it was like a yin and yang sort of thing, I guess.
Definitely. One thing that I really love about the album is the balance you strike in between the heavy guitar world that you guys came from, as well as the kind of electronics that you were experimenting at the time. I found like certain tracks feel like essentially a pop song that's concealed, you know, in this vortex of heavy guitars, and that's what I love about it. At the heart of a lot of them, it's just quite a basic, easy pop song that's immensely catchy.
Well, we definitely went down the road of doing kind of anthems, I guess you could say. So very structured, you know, pop songs is one way to word it, but it was more about the structures of the songs, I guess, and having this anthemic chorus. And I think, yeah, probably a good half of the tracks on the album are like that. So, yeah, I can see why some people may thought it was too maybe poppy or something, but personally I think it was just something that we... I don't think it was any more poppy than Draconian Times in some ways, but it was just the production and the keyboards and all that kind of stuff maybe made some people not understand it, you know.
Exactly.
Well, I think, you know, one of those tracks I'd say is Mercy. I mean, that really does have that balance, and I think it's one that many people might struggle to really find, in that you've got organic analog instruments, and then you're throwing them into the chaos of maybe more futuristic sounds.
Well, I mean, I've been told to hold the mic. Well, we've all right. Hello. Well, we've always, because we always like bands like Decadence, for example, who used, you know, a lot of keyboard or live instruments to create a real darkness to the sound. We just wanted to get a bit of that, really, because we know, you know, as in a sheer contrast to Draconian, you know, it was sometimes you can do things with keyboards and strings, you get a real atmosphere to it, like, you know, like horror soundtracks, for example. We were really into that kind of thing. So, yeah, we just wanted to get involved in it.
But that song in particular, Mercy, that was totally different before I went in the studio. That sounded like something, it was like a punk song before I went in the studio. It was like one solemn from the Draconian Times album, really guitar oriented, really upbeat. And we got in the studio with Sank and just stripped it all away and half the tempo. And so that one kind of came together in the studio, really.
Wow, okay. And as for the album title itself, 1 second, I'd love to know, you know, who came up with it, and how did you come up with it?
I can't actually remember who came up with it, but I mean, the actual concept for the artwork, it was Ross Halfin was doing a photo shoot with us, and he said, what about having one side with a woman's face her eyes open, and then on the back closed, so it was like 1 second she's alive, 1 second she's not. And I thought that's quite a nice concept, because as usual we were struggling to find what to have for artwork. So yeah, I mean, he kind of suggested that, and we sort of went with it. But the title itself, I honestly can't remember how we came up with that. Did I come up with that, or you? I can't remember.
I think you came up with it because I remember sitting in a pub in Monmouthshire, and we were coming up with all kinds of really crap names. Intravenous. He cuts me off a lot, but yeah, I was just about to say that. It's because he can't remember things, and they just pop into his head now and again, and you know. But yeah, we were coming up with all these crap titles, and I think he came up with 1 second, but not at that time. It was probably slightly afterwards, but he's not going to remember. So. Yeah.
Well, I mentioned earlier, Lydia is one of my favourite tracks on the album. It's that riff you play, Greg, is just harrowing, and it's brutal, and again, the juxtaposition against like the more kind of lighter, string-led, kind of orchestral and beautiful kind of moments. That song really, really stands out to me. Could you tell me a little bit about how you came up with it?
Well, exactly what you're saying. We wanted to mix like sweet string parts with a really kind of twisted, heavy guitar riff and this pulsating electronic beat. And it's kind of harder to do than we thought at first. And Lydia was one of these songs that came together quite fast once we knew the subject matter, because I had a couple of riffs for it and things like that. And then he said it was going to be about this a prostitute, basically. So in the studio, we put the riffs together and made it how it sounds. But then we also rang a sex line and sampled the sex line answer and distorted it, and that's on the track. I don't know how much of it you can hear, but that's mixed in with the track as well.
That is crazy. That is crazy. It's a really groundbreaking song. And,
Well, there was no internet in them days, so you had to ring sex lines. You couldn't. you couldn't look at sex unless you bought a book. You know.
I guess when we were talking earlier, I also kind of mentioned Another Day is a track that really, really strikes a chord with me. And one thing that I love it for most of all is that it seems like this weird kind of perverse mix of like Depeche Mode and then like grungy influences. Like Alice in Chains is almost what I hear in it, because there are jangly chords, and Nick, your vocals are quite raw on that as well. So I don't think I've ever thought of or described music in that way before. Like, that is quite the...
Well, I mean, we were listening to, we're big fans of Alice in Chains, and we were listening to all that stuff as well. So, I mean, I was a massive fan of what Lane Staley and everything they were doing at that time. So I guess that's going to rub off a little bit. And again, it's, it's just making it as catchy as you can and anthemic, as we said, and it just sort of fit. It's a typical example of what we were listening to alongside the dark keyboardy stuff as well, everything I hear from each album we do, I can tell what we were listening to. I can really sort of get a grasp of what we were into at that time, and that song is no exception.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's a blend of influences. I mean, most bands are. Unless you listen to one type of music, it's often not that obvious what your influences are. And on that record, and especially on that track, there was a mixture of a lot of different styles of music that we were drawing influence from. Definitely.
I love the lyrics as well. There are some really kind of profound, soul-searching moments in there. A lot of it is very, very dark, of course, but I find quite often with your lyrics, there's always like that little speckle of light. And I'd say on this album, actually, those speckles maybe became full beams at points.
I don't know why, because I was really fed up when I was writing the lyrics for that album. So I don't know how that happened.
What did you have the ump with?
Well, the way you described his lyrics then was more poetic than the actual lyrics.
It was actually.
Maybe you should get a ghostwriter in or something.
I should have recorded what you just said and used it on the next album.
Do it.
He won't remember what you said.
I won't remember.
But there is positivity, like, submerged in there. Like,
I think it's good to, if you write something really dreary and miserable, it's always good to just throw something in there to give someone a glimmer of hope, and then take it away on the next line. I like to do that, I guess. So I do it on the new stuff as well. So
yeah. Well, we were talking earlier about some lines that I liked from the song "The Sufferer." I'm going to read it to you. The opening line: "I find when I'm all alone that I feel so ashamed." Like that, that is deep, that you're cutting yourself quite open and you're putting yourself in a state of vulnerability. Tell me, where were you going with that? What did you mean?
Probably ashamed because instead of concentrating on writing lyrics, I was playing video games or something like that when I should have been writing an album. So it's probably I was ashamed about I was being sidetracked by something else. So, that's a light way of putting it, I suppose. But
what's it about?
The song, The Sufferer. Just feeling sorry for yourself, I guess. Been wallowing in self-pity. Being a martyr, just being sick of, taking things for granted, I guess, without getting too deep. I haven't read the lyrics for 20 years.
That's fair enough. Well, it's time for my most important question of this chat. You mentioned you were playing a lot of video games, namely Tekken. Which was your favourite character? I mean, that's quite an important one.
The drunken guy was swigging the booze in between fighting. I can't remember his name. There was one who kept drinking like an old fella.
Nice.
I can't remember. It was years ago.
Did you know all the secret moves and stuff?
I did, yeah. We played it so much, we all got good with the moves, yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. Great stuff. Well, I believe we're going to take some questions. So I'm going to check what you guys are saying and see if there's anything, that's actually...
worth asking.
Worth asking, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff about what you had for lunch. I mean, someone did ask that earlier. Yeah. It was one of the earliest questions. It's a good question.
We had vegetable biryani with mango chutney and poppadoms.
Very nice. What do you wash it down with? A nice Cobra?
Diet Coke.
Diet Coke. Fair enough. Okay, I'm going to scroll through some of these questions now. Most of them are just people saying hello, which is great, and sending their love from various parts of the world.
Hi.
Nath Gold does say, Greg, give me your Celtic Frost shirt. So, next time you see Nath...
Steve gave me this, the bass player.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it didn't fit him anymore. Sure
Let's
why.
have a look. Someone else says, I love you, Nick. So, you know,
Cheers.
it's good to be loved.
Thank
Hello
you.
from Finland. Right, okay. Hello from Poland.
Is
Hello
that our
from
drummer
Italy.
saying hello from Finland?
You really are popular all around the world. Greece, Argentina, Ireland, Hungary, Romania. Jesus.
I've never seen someone so excited just basically listing countries.
Yeah. I've got an actual question now, so here we go. This is from Lucy Ann, and she wants to know, will you be doing an anniversary tour of 1 Second? Will it include Europe in the near future?
It's impossible to say because whenever we say no to something, we do it anyway. So nothing's out of the question. I mean, you know, we have no plans to do it at the moment. We've got a long tour coming up for the new album, Medusa, out for September. After that, we'll see what happens. But you can never say never.
It's unlikely you'd ever do a tour for something like that because, like we did for Draconian Times for the anniversary of that, it's better to keep it to 1, 2, 3 shows or something like that to keep it special. If you do a full tour of it, it kind of cheapens the whole point of it being special one-offs, if you know what I mean. So we can't say we won't do a special anniversary 1 second show, but a tour is very unlikely, I would have thought.
Fair enough. Okay. Next question is from Lukas Brzozowski, who wants to know, is there any possibility to hear another experimental pop kind of album from Paradise Lost?
Well, again, it's another never say never thing. You just don't know how you're going to feel in 5 years' time, you know. If we stay on the tack of what we're doing at the moment and it bogs us down and we get stale with it, who knows? You can't say you'd never do something.
Yeah, I mean,
Were you falling asleep then?
no, I was listening to what you say. I was, no, it's very true. I mean, it's no matter how you feel in the moment, you might not feel like that in a couple of years. You can never say. But I don't think even if we did do something, it would probably be more of a project. I think, But I don't know. We don't plan far ahead. You can't plan ahead when you're in a band.
Especially at our age.
No. We're lucky each day we wake up. So.
Okay, I have another question. This one's from Mark Gallia Tortosa, who wants to know what was the inspiration for Forever Failure in terms of your vocal parts, Nick?
I guess it was just someone who's the clues in the title. I guess I was thinking about someone who just everything they do in life it just doesn't work out for them. I guess you could use the word loser. I guess, but I mean, I don't know, just someone that. I don't know, it's just a fictional. There's no one in particular, but just someone who everything seems to go bad for them. I guess that's pretty much it. The video doesn't really tie in with the concept of the video doesn't tie in with the lyrics at all. But it's still probably my favourite Paradise Lost video. I really think it's quite artistic, but it doesn't really represent the lyrics. But it doesn't have to, So.
Definitely. There's another question that I actually had for you guys, which was just hearing.